Yes, Guyana to the world.
Globespan is a Guyanese dialogue moving towards the realization of one nation in one Guyana. It's a platform that offers an all-inclusive discussion with the pros, the cons, the ones that is taken aside, and the ones that stand in the middle. Globespan believes agreeing and disagreeing are part of the nation's building.
She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country.
Globespan believes every Guyanese voice is part of the nation's building. As we span the globe for voices from the diaspora and those living home, we stand on our commitment that we are all Guyanese working towards one nation in one Guyana. As the world turns on its axis bringing changes, we as Guyanese must adapt to those changes for a better Guyana for all. Globespan stands on its axis with its belief that one nation, one Guyana, one destiny must include voices from all corners of Guyana.
With many flavor, 6 different people blended together. Raise your flag high in unity, we're family with one destiny. Raise your flag high in unity.
Everyone, and a special welcome to Globespan Television here in New York. Tonight, our guest is no other than Dr. Amaya, but we are unable to get him on video, so we get him on audio. So just bear with us on that. I want to take this opportunity to wish all our Guyanese friends, brothers and sisters in Guyana and out of Guyana a happy 55th Mashramani celebrations. And at the same time, I will also take this opportunity to tell our listeners that this program is being made available by Mr. Noir Singh and by Mr. Devin Bissoon and Ryan Gobin. And we are a fair and balanced network. Anyone can come on this show at any time. We welcome you. The views expressed tonight by our guest is solely his and not those necessary of Globespan, the management and staff of Globespan Television. So, good night to you, Dr. Maya.
Good night, Dr. Rose, and to Noir, and to Devin, and everyone else. And I want to wish the people of Guyana a happy March as well. And I hope everything went well. So tonight, it's very, very unfortunate that I cannot be live on the video. However, they will hear my voice.
Yeah, your voice is being heard clearly. So in this case, we developed something new, opening remarks. You got anything to say in your opening statement?
Well, Dr. Rose, I think to begin with, one of the question that I know that gets you kind of puzzled was my resignation recently. And it is not surprising with my belief and my principle that I left the job because, I was actually thrown under the bus by the RDC, the region. And with all the false accusation and the lies that were peddled, I just want to set the record straight because I left the job because of my principle of saying the right things with the intention and the hope, not condemning the government, but evaluate the situation with very critical criticism. But that was seen as condemnation on my part, and I think I was accused wrongfully when the people are suffering. And I think of all persons, that my commitment, even when I was a member of different parties, I stood by my principle. And when my principle and the support that the people give are not met, then there is no need for me to stay. But I listened to the vice president, and he said that
You there, Dr. Amaya? Dr. Amaya? Oh boy. Devin, what's happening there? Dr. Amaya? Something wrong with your phone? We're not hearing you live? We're not hearing you live? Yes. But no, you're not coming on live. Something is wrong. Let me find it from Devin. Devin? Devin?
Hi. Yes, Dr.
Dr.
Rose.
Amaya is off.
Let me check.
Pardon me?
1 second. Let's get him back on.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes, I'm
go ahead,
hearing you.
doctor. Go ahead. Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, Dr. Rose, you can hear me now?
I'm hearing you, yes.
Yeah, well, did you hear me before this when I was commencing on the program?
I think you went on mute. You mute your phone.
No, but you can hear me now.
I'm hearing you, yes. Go ahead. Well, you know what? Let me
Well,
start asking you some questions. Let me ask you some questions.
okay.
Number one, you left Guyana at an early age and you came to the United States. What year did you leave Guyana?
I left in 1968, Dr. Rose. I was just 23.
And was there any particular reason for leaving, or people are just moving away from Guyana?
Well, people were moving away. The doors of America and Canada was open, and I believe I was the second wave in the 60s that people who just finished high school left and gone overseas to a greener pasture, if you want to call it that way. So I left since that age of 1968.
Okay. That's a very young age indeed. What was your
Yes.
employment history like in the United States? Briefly.
Well, when I started there, I started to work in the shipping department. I used to ship things in and out of the United States with a company in Manhattan. So I started school first, and it was difficult. And then I continued to work full time, and until a couple of years after I'd received my green card.
Okay. So what year you returned to Guyana? What year you returned to Guyana?
I came back here, Dr. Rose, in 1993, January, after I met with Dr. Jagan in 92 when he was campaigning in the United States. I was one of the person that was helping financially to raise money with Dias Singh, Yusuf Mohammed, and so many other people, diaspora. And out of that quest, and I already finished my studies. So I thought I will be an asset, not to work with any party structure, but to come back because I had some money and I will make some investment to help young people. So that's what motivated me after he asked that people like us should come back and help to develop Guyana after 28 years of long struggle.
So when you returned, you supported the PEP. See, am I right?
No, I did not, Dr. Rose. As I mentioned earlier, which you did not hear. As a boy growing up, I was never affiliated or being a member of any political party, not one, until today. So when I came back after 92 elections, then three persons, one from WIM, Larry Kenny and Bloomfield, three stalwarts, I will say, to the PPP party, selected, not that they were not elected, selected 28 names for the local government election, which was held in 94. I was at the Wake House. And that actually get me a kind of in a disarray because we just walked out from a dictatorship, and here I was told that this is their time. And the 28 names that were submitted was 22 of those names were all friends working in Gaisuku. So I took the old people in my community and I went to Freedom House, where I met with Rohit Prasad, Kunkaran Ramdas, Bakas, who was member of parliament. And I explained to them, this is not the way you're going to choose people to become in the NDC. And, you know, I was told that this is their time and that is how it will go. I said, well, you just question dictatorship, but this is worse than what you put out. And after I was challenged that only 2 votes you can receive, you and your wife, I cursed the man because I said, I didn't come here about my wife. Don't tell me about my wife. And I formed a group, a party in that sense, and I campaigned against the PVP for the local government election in 1994. And there I got 7 seats in the NDC from 18. And ever since, I was victimized, being an opposition to the PPP. So I was never a person who was admired by the PPP party. Was never, because I opposed them. And things started to go the very way that they were condemning the PNC. They started to do similar things in all directions that you can think about. So I reached a point where I was approached by Ravi Dev in 2000 election. And that was my first challenge when Ravi Dev heard of me. And I worked with Ravi in 2001. He lost because the people at the beginning gave him critical support. But beyond that, before the election, There was a swing state, if we want to say. Berbice was swing all over. The sugar workers became ungrateful in that sense. And Pat Ravidev was talking about union, and now he formed a political party. So all type of tricks were used to get Ravidev off the back of the PPP. And then I kept quiet for 2006 election. But 2011, then I was approached by Kemraj and Sheila Holder and Trapman. And I was motivated by their programs, and I was indoctrinated into the AFC as an executive member. And that is when I became a worst enemy of the PPP camp.
In 2011, you campaigned for the AFC. Am I right?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And some are saying that your campaign, you took votes away in Berbice Region 6 from the PEP that led to a minority government in
Well,
2011.
there is no doubt, Dr. Rose. There is no doubt, there is no question as to, because my relationship since I came back, my disposition was extremely good with people. And at the time of 2011, the people saw that the sugar industry was not productive, rice was in a turmoil, infrastructure was in a turmoil. And the people realized, because I used to go and meet people, I used to give in to people and do a lot of things for people because I was working. I had many jobs as a herbalist, and I worked all over the country in Bartica, Essequibo, Linden. I spent about 16 years in Georgetown, and the rest I used to work part-time in Berbice as well, but I started all in Berbice. So I was well known, and then I had my Saturday night program. And that's what triggered so many abuse languages that every single day I was cursed on television, which they control NCM. And that program is still on in the air by the AFC, by the way, the Saturday night program.
Right. Now, in 2015, you joined with APNU plus AFC. I think you're a member of the AFC, and they joined the coalition, so you went in with them to join the coalition in the campaign.
Yes, yes, Dr. Rose, you're precisely correct. However, I was the only one in that meeting with Kemraj, Moses, Nigel, and all of them in that room that I stood my grounds, and I stood very firmly that I will not join the coalition. I followed the protocol because I told Moses and Kemraj that this is not what we told the people, that we will never join hands with the PNC or the PVP. But as I recall, Kemraj and we went to a funeral in New York. A good friend died. And when we came back, the whole thing was concocted as far as I'm concerned. And Kemraj was forced, as the chairman for the party, to go along, but I did not. So I followed the protocol and I worked through for the election. And I resigned after the election because Kemraj had wanted to put me back into the parliament. And I refused. And then he asked me who I could choose. And I said, choose Sharon Das. Right at my bottom house. I said, I don't want to go back to that cowboy school. However, after the president, David Ranger, saw my resignation, they was kind of worried that, I worked, my money was not being paid back. And then they offered me the job as the REO for Region 6. I took it not wholeheartedly, so to speak. But after 1 year in that position, I complained to the minister, Volkan, and no hearing. I spoke to Moses Kemraj.
Well, what you complain about?
The hospital was in a degrading conditions. The RDC was not, I was outnumbered because it was still controlled by the PPP. I was not getting any support for any local development as they're supposed to. I don't know if you want to say, well, because Region 6 is predominantly PPP support, and then the closing of the estate, there was so much of things going on. But the basic things when people came to me was the hospital. And drugs were not there. And I know drugs were chipping out from that place. And I complain about the smell of the place, the garbage and all these things. And as far as I was concerned, knowing that from the time I went back and I was talking about the hospitals, that enough money was not given. And if the drugs were coming, there were shortages of drugs. People used to go see the doctors and they have to get prescription to go outside and buy the drug. So my contention came with health and the NDC, the functioning of the NDC, that Volcan was not paying close attention to what was going on to help to remedy the people. And then the closing of the sugar estate, which biles up again, and the people were against. So I saw the struggle of the people. And after I saw the health, especially health, and my office was not equipped like what you saw today in the region. One staff. What could I have done? And I decided now, enough is enough. So I resigned as the RU. I left the job.
But you said the sugar estates were not producing, and then they lay off people.
It is true because the money that the subsidy that they give to the sugar industry up to this now currently, they subsidize the sugar. The government is subsidizing Gaisuku because predominantly then was about 80% was Indo-Guyanese working in the sugar industry. And this is something remarkable that you can think about. We produce sugar at a higher price and we sell at a lower price. So the sugar industry was always running at a loss. And today, the same thing. They don't make the production. And I can visualize that after this election, one or two estates might close down. Because I know that the sugar industry is in turmoil. I know the sugar industry is in turmoil. And the reason I can say this, that money is going into the sugar industry, is because of votes. But the mixture of the workers today is about 30-70 or 40-60. Blacks and Indians working in the industry is not predominantly Indian anymore.
Blacks are about 36%.
Well, you can see, you can work out the ratio there, and you will get why the sugar is not a pro-PVP thing anymore. They may not like what I'm saying, but this is the truth. And this was happening when
why after close the estates is because they fear that they're supporting the PP there, because closing it, these guys
I don't think, but that is being used by the PVP government. I don't think, because again, and I don't know if you know, but the sugar is not profitable. You can't plow money into a business that is not producing a profit. And this is exactly what is going on.
But
and
Dr.
this was going on for a long time.
Hear this though. Agriculture. Every country in the world subsidizes agriculture. And Gaisuku comes under agriculture. So what's wrong in subsidizing Gaisuku? You know Gaisuku produces a lot of other stuff, create community centers. You yourself know they build cricket feeds and so forth, produce people like Ron Kanai, Joe Solomon, Basil Butcher, and all these people, Alvin Kalitran and all of them. So even though you're subsidizing sugar, Gaisuku, they're doing a lot of community services.
Well, I don't know if this Gaisuku is doing well. What is happening today? Who they're producing? Then Gaisuku used to Gaisuku used to keep up like Port Morant, Kanji, Albion, Skellen, but all the local grounds, nobody do anything for them, Dr. Rose. And these are the people where they came from, the community grounds that was controlled by Gaisuku. They had the opportunities to develop themselves. But what about the local cricket grounds? Today, the same thing is happening. Do any local cricket grounds that people can play? And that is one of the reasons you got so much of drinking and dope using and so forth. Activities is not wrong. And this is a sad story. It is a very sad story.
So in 2020, after a short stint in New York, your mom was sick, and you went there to look after your mom. And when she died, you decided to come back to Guyana to campaign on behalf of the PVPC government.
No, Mr. Rose, I think you get it wrong. I think you get it wrong.
Okay.
When I left Guyana after I resigned, and I sold my property up in Georgetown, I think you know, of all persons, you came to my house several times in New York, and I was taking care of my mother.
Right.
And I had no ambition to come back and campaign for any government position or nothing. However, when I came back, but let me go back to a piece that I want the record to be straight, Dr. Rose. I was a member of parliament when my wife died in 2013. And I will tell you this for the record. I was still considered as an enemy of the PPP, though I used to sit in the cafeteria occasionally because I used to go outside and buy my lunch and I eat outside. Most of the time I don't eat inside here. And I spent a lot of times with the president in the cafeteria and other members of the government. And we used to eat lunch whenever I am there, but most of the time I go outside. But the question I want to say, an enemy of the PPP will always be an enemy. That's the way they see me. And the vice president actually saw me in the same light as far as I'm concerned. But when my wife died, I will tell you this. Not one member for the PPP party give me that support as a colleague of the parliament, as a fraternity of the parliament, call and say, well, I sorry that your wife died. No. But I will tell you for the record. But the PNC camp, all those people in 2013, they call and they extend their sympathy to me. It's a big difference in Dr. Rose, and that hurt quite a lot. And I will tell you, I consider Pastor William as a friend. My wife buried on a Good Friday, and he came to that funeral in his wife. And he told the crowd there that he never left his home on a Good Friday. But this woman, he only spoke to my wife over the phone as if he knew her all his life. But I will try to show you there. And that by itself struck me what kind of people I'm dealing with. But I will tell you in all honesty, and I mentioned this to you, it seemed like if I had a vendetta against the AFC and the coalition government, a vendetta, the way I was treated. I was not treated fairly, and I think you know that. However, when I went back, I bought a house and I was comfortable, very comfortable. But my mother had a request that when she died, she wanted to bury near to my father and my daughter. And I brought the body back. When I was coming, and I still believe strongly, you as a friend, you play a pivotal role of getting me to come back here for the 2020 election. And when I don't know if you had a discussion with them or not before my coming, when I brought my mother body home. But while I was crossing the Berbice River, the president and the vice president they call and they extend their sympathy to me. And they told me, sir, Dr. Amaya, some other people are going to visit you. My mother, when we came for the funeral, I can recall, Zulfi came and some other dignitaries, I will say, from the party. And the day of the funeral, my brother, I will still retain my brother Armogan, they brought a wreath. But when my wife died, you can see the difference. If I was not important then, Dr. Rose, that type of courtesy that they pay when my mother died and when my wife died, that courtesy was not there. That means they know that what I can do. And because of you, when I went back after my mother's funeral, I met with Bagal. I met with so many opposition leaders because they came here and then they know exactly who am I. I'm not going to self-praise myself in this program, but they know who am I. And PPP recognized that in 2011 and 2015. And I will tell you, when I came back, Zim and somebody else, because I was a little tight with finance, because I bought the house, and it was very difficult when I brought my mother back with the expense. And they paid for the ticket. And I came back. PPP did not pay me a salary. I want to set that record straight about. They did not pay me a salary. But I worked like a slave for the time. Even New Year's Day, I went and I picked up all the organizers and so forth. And I campaigned for Molson Creek and the whole of Region 4, the whole of Region 5. And even the vice president said, he complimented me for the meeting I put at Albion. But no, when they hate you, they don't give you credit for what you have done. And I will tell you, I still believe down in my heart that that campaign that I did for them won them an extra one seat for them to be in government today. But no, when you talk the right thing, but my heart and soul goes out to people because what they're paying me, Dr. Rose, they want the world to know Ramaya was getting $400,000 a month. $400,000 a month. That is pittance to compare with what I am giving people. Every single person who die, I buy them a hamper, and if them so stranded, I give them money out of my pocket. That money, more than half of it, I spend out, Dr. Rose. And I want you to give me a couple minutes more where they say I am crying out for money. That is a blatant lie because they want to take out their shame. They pay me $70,000 a month and let everybody be the judge. I wish people could have seen when I talk here. $70,000 a month. You know for what? For my car, for the gas, for the bill, for the rent. And I got to take out money from my pocket and buy food for my chauffeur and myself when we go out. You just tell me what $70,000 and sometimes it takes 3 months to pay me one money. That is the money I was getting for rent, phone bill, my car, gas. A gas alone is $70,000 a month because I work 7 days per week. 7 days per week. And I don't want to implicate you in this situation, Dr. Rose, but many times you've been here and you told me to put a sign outside that I don't work Saturday and Sunday. I work 7 days, and then Jamal got the guts to tell me that if there is a minister job to go to funeral, Ramaya got to get it. He went to a funeral home, a funeral place, and he mentioned that if a job should be open for a ministerial position, or because I care for people. I did that in the afternoon, Dr. Rose. In the morning, from morning I work, and then go back afternoon to wake houses. But to tell you what kind of, how they want to throw me on this bus, this reason. When those 5 people died with a fire at 65 village, ask any one of them if they ever step foot there. Anyone from the region or the government step foot at the people. 5 funerals came out. And then a step foot there, Dr. Rose. I was there from the day one until the day, and even after, even Christmas time, I went to visit that mother. That is the kind of person. Then you tell me about $70,000. Ask the region if they ever invited me for all the millions of dollars that they spend on every occasion at the region office. If they ever call Ramaya, or even if I ever invited when I'm a minister or the president or vice president come to Bordeaux. One time, Dr. Rose, and that was last year, Pagua, when Armogan called me that the president going to be there, and I went there. That is the time I was invited to go, and I went. I spent the entire day. Now, this is the way I was treated, and you expect me, and it wasn't for you, I would have not come back here. I would have not sold my house. So now they have the benefit of the last 5 years. So then it's not that I have need for me. They need me to bring votes. That is all that I'm good for, to bring votes. Because I have a way to communicate with people. I don't lie to people. I try to help people. But the things that I talked about, the schools, the hospitals, people work the 10 days, and I show the vice president and the president how the work's supposed to be done. It's still in a mess today. And I left the job. I left the 10 days job. They set people up to make all type of acquisition. When the 4 people, 3 people work from one home, and then you know for a fact that people came struggling, single parents, and they couldn't find a job. But 3 body can work from one home. Public assistance. People have worked 10 days job and still get public assistance, which I was told.
So you're saying that 3 family members from one home received a 10-day job, and people who are struggling did not receive the 10-day job?
Exactly. And after now, 3 people, 4 people who work from one home. And they are all affiliated to the party. Hampers are safety when I distribute hampers. Even the cash grant what they give people, not this cash grant. Special people when they get the money. Now, if I talk about this here, Dr. Rose, I am bad. I don't have to call the president or the vice president and say this is going on. I talk about the contractors. Now, the president himself is saying what type of sloppy work the contractors are doing. Now, I am trying to bring to light what is happening so that they can take action and get the work done. It's people's life. Look, drinking and driving, how many people were charged? Yesterday, we got 3 young youths die because of drinking and driving. Speeding. Look, I just read from the Facebook at East Coast. I'm West Coast, sorry. The guy walked into a car because his wife took away the keys of drinking and he wants to go and drive. We cannot apprehend these conditions unless we have the police actively involved. Protocol is not being followed. Sometimes police stop people and one phone call, the police got to let them go. How are we going to run a country? How are we going to run a country? I talk about the mortuary. It's so smelly. Water sometimes will run inside. When the pathologists go there, it is in a derogatory conditions. Sometimes our dead got to go till over the river to get postmortem. Now, all these things I talked about, I address them for the people in the hospital. Why people complain to me? Because they know I'm a voice of the people. And if I voice it, what is wrong with that? These are the people who are your supporters. Why not give them something that they can live up? Look how many people are struggling. I go to the market, Dr. Rose, and I can tell you how many beggars we got here today. Little children are not going to school. What the ministry is doing. You shouldn't go and drive around, and I make this my duty, and I talked about it to make them become cognizant of what is happening in our society. Children are not going to school, but you're going to wait until August, September, when the money going to share out. Everybody register. So how the school register these children? Look when those seven children were without food, clothes, to Kilkai. Today, thank God, I get four of them out. Right now, people got called. There's another situation right in Kilkai, Chesney. Why, Dr. Rose? I am enlightened. I am bringing light to this. Why the ministers are not taking active steps to help these people? These are children. These are children. But no, they want to throw me under the bus.
Vice President Jagger has called for an end to shoddy work from contractors.
Right.
But the point remains where this government, they might have good policies at the top, but to implement these policies at the middle range level, people there are not following the protocol. They're not following directions. They're doing whatever they wanted to do. Same like you, I got a lot of stories to tell, but it's not for me to tell them. I think the government has got to take a much keener look at what goes on at the middle range level to implement their policies. And I want to tell the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, this, and by extension the government. Governments are no good in sharing out nothing to the population. We saw this with the COVID $25,000. We saw it with the rice farmers. We saw it with the fishermen. We saw it now with the cash grant. So I want to tell Minister Ashley Singh, if you have any more cash grant to share out, hire me and I'll set up a system up in all the regions where people don't have to stand in line, senior citizens fainting, mothers with children are passing out and so forth. This is ridiculous. I was there one time and I see the line is about 500 people standing in line and they closed the place at 3 o'clock, leaving people standing in the line. So I want to tell the minister, this is serious. Anytime you have anything to share, don't take it on yourself because you have square pegs in round holes doing it. They don't know what to do. They don't have a clue what administration is or what public policy is all about. And those are my forte studies. So let me say this to the minister. Let me say this to the minister. Anytime you have anything to share out, give me the job in all the 10 regions, and you'll not see any long lines. You'll not see the chaos that took place there and all the slackness and the recklessness. You have 10-day workers. For example, these people have checks, but they're not called, if the first check on top is Ari Smith, they will call John Jones, and then they got to go through the checks all the way down to the bottom to find John Jones' check. Why not call Harry Smith at the top?
Well, I mentioned that.
But when you have 10-day workers and people who are not educated and are grossly incompetent, I want to say this loudly. This is what caused all this. It's a shame to see all these long lines. It's a shame. I was in Guyana, and I'm saying if this government just about 350 to 400,000 checks you cash out with all these long lines, what are you going to do if you have 10 million people?
Well, look, Dr. Rose, there's a lady right in my village. She went to NIS office, and I don't know she didn't recover from the sun. And beside that, there is not a washroom in that area with that long line that people can go. There is no number sharing. There is no water for them to drink. And if they want to go to the washroom, they got to go back and join the line from the back. I have never seen something like that. But I am not blaming the president or the vice president, but they should listen that these are some of the problems that we have, and the people are suffering as a result. Now, you can't take people who do 10 days work to get involved in sharing that money. That is when I talk about it now, Ramaya is bad-mouthing. I told the vice president, and when he called me, that, Mr. VP, you cannot bus people to a meeting. You will not know your strength in the village, in that community, how much people come, that you got to work this. I was trying to show them how to campaign. That is also a wrong thing that I said. Because you know what happened, Dr. Rose? The 10 days workers who is making 90% of the crowd, they must bus them from one area to the other area where that meeting has to be held. And this is the problem that I see. I did not campaign for Roar. I did not campaign for the AFC or the coalition in that respect. And the vice president, he knew that. That's what I did for 2020 election. He knew that.
But
4 o'clock in the morning,
like all
pardon me,
governments,
Dr.
when you have a policy, it's a good policy. But if it's not being implemented the way it was proposed, then you still have a problem. And there's no middle range. Look, I'll say this as well, and I'm going to call these ministries out. You can't call the Ministry of Housing and Water and get an answer from none of the phones. You can't call the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport and get an answer at all. Those two ministries don't answer phones, period. So something is wrong with these ministers and not looking at what is going on. You can't get nobody to answer the phone, not even the receptionist. You call the receptionist number, it's going to voicemail. No matter what, you can't get through to the Ministry of Housing and Water, and you cannot get through to the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport. So I'm saying to Mr. Ramson, and I'm saying to Mr. Colin Crow, Mr. Susan Rodriguez, check with your ministries to see what's going on. It is ridiculous. I tried it myself many times because people told me when I was in Guyana, and I called for 3-4 days, and nobody's answering the phones at those ministries. Nobody. Another thing I want to say, when any government employee tells you that they're going to call you back if you went there and do business, tell them, no, you're lying. Give me a number and I will call you back, because they don't call back anybody. And I'm saying this because I want to help the president and the vice president and all of them to know that these are things that they don't know what's going on, and they're hearing it now. They should take action to rectify these situations. Nobody from the ministries will call you back. Nobody. And
But
they don't care. And I've been to ministries where you see the line is long, and you see people there on the cell phones and not attending to the people.
But
another thing I want to say briefly here. When you go to Republic Bank, the teller or the teller machine or whatever it is, in Republic Bank of itself in Georgia, you have about 200 people sitting there. New Amsterdam, Rosignol, Hampshire is the same thing. And I'm going to tell the management of Republic Bank, that's poor management. That's very, very poor management. Because those people might have to be working. And when they sit there to wait on you for hours, the country is losing production. You go to Republic Bank 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning in Georgetown. You have about 100 people in front of you in a line to go to the cashier. And you know what? They will only have 2 cashiers there.
Well, Dr. Rose, the same thing in Borvis. I went there, the same thing in Borvis. And
if the line is long, common sense will tell the manager, put 10 cashiers to get rid of the line. But these people don't care. That's my problem. They just don't care. I've never seen the United States got over 350 million people, and I've never seen no long lines at no bank. I walk in the bank, 5 minutes, I'm out. So I don't understand why this is happening, and this is a problem with these underdeveloped countries. They don't have no system to. Why would you have 200 people? You have about 100 plus people in the line. You have about an extra 100 people sit down there waiting on somebody, and they have 1 or 2 people addressing their issues. So I'm telling the management of Republic Bank, get your act together. It is shameful. It is disgraceful, and you disrespecting the population. Cut that nonsense out. I hope they're listening. Go ahead, Dr.
Rose. I vent that quite a lot about time wasted just to make a regular withdrawal or a deposit, sometimes 3 hours, 2 hours before you get out from the bank. But that is not all, Dr. Rose. One of the things that I talked about, there is the super bet now is coming to every corner right now, the super bet. Who is addressing, who is giving the licenses for these people to operate a gamble house? Now, this is where young people now is spending their time at the superbet offices gambling. And that is not being regulated. And I don't know, the companies originate from Suriname, but it's in Guyana, and every rum shop, every corner now you have a superbet going on. and where this money is coming from. People don't want to work. Where they get this money from? And that is why I said, and even that said and done, if you call the station, then I have cars, and which I vent so often, Dr. Rose, then I have vehicle to patrol. I went there last week. They have one vehicle with 7 different cars they have to go. How they can address the situation? Even vehicles at this stage in Guyana, every station is supposed to be manned properly with at least 3 and 4 vehicles. You can't get one vehicle to control from Albion, Tillen, and Blackbush. And this is where the criminals know also that the police can't respond because they don't have vehicles. They study what is going on more than you and I. And this is a problem that I talked about. But again, there is a big difference here between critical criticism, constructive criticism from condemnation. When I talk about look, recently we had this flood in Blackbush. This is no rain, Dr. Rowe, this is a drizzle. And again, the canals and the trenches and the people who are getting the jobs to clean this canal are people who get position. The family get the job to do. The family get the jobs to do. And what they do, they spray the grass. But at the end of the journey, like this so-said flood, they take regional HIMAC and drag line and go and clean the same trench that they already pay contractors to do physically, manually, to dig out the grass from the trench. This is something that is going on since I was the REO and before that. And this is what caused the problem of flooding. Now, when I mention all these things, the people have to spend so much money to rent the land. Rental fees is $500,000-$600,000 per every 15 acres of land. When they lose a crop, what happened to them? Now, I will not tell the government you have to subsidize these people. But the question is, I see people comment on my program when I talk about it. What happened to all the previous crop if they don't make any money? Rice not got the kind of money anymore because of most people, over 60% of these people in Blackbush, they're renting the rice field. And this is a hardship for them. But when the flood is there, was a reason for the flood to occur. And that is one of the reasons that when nobody went in there to reach out to the people, I made to understand that they called Mr. Mohammed, and he went in Blackbush to see what can be done. Because everybody now, what I see, they wanted money. They want to make money. And this is where my thing is going on a viral phase to let people know. But I am doing it for the sake of the government, not for me. For them record to be better, that when somebody talk about what is up, let me look into it. But all the things that I talked about in this region, the region never going to follow up. I spoke about the cut from the road at Teen Coker. Some good person that I suspected went and filled the damn hole. I believe it was Thursday night or Friday night in the morning. They filled the hole up. Now, this is the thing. How long does the construction work? We get one at Front Spready, we get one at Teen, we get one at Firish, we get one at number 1, we get one where the accident was made, and we get one at 74, I believe. All this road, the contractors take the job, and they get other jobs, so they start the work, they leave the work, and they go somewhere else to work. Now, one of the things that you mentioned earlier about contractors, and the vice president said about it, the subcontractor, who the subcontract the work to, I want to know, and I have reservations in my mind, that the work is done to the specification of the bill of quantity. Because when you're given a contract, you take out a portion because you receive the contract. You take out a portion and give the subcontractor to somebody else. They will never give you 100% of what is in the contract. No, they will never do that. They will not make any money out of it. And this is where I am coming for criticism and I am being condemned. Now, if I cannot be an asset if I am paid, I am not going to deny it, but that is pittance to what my labor worth, Dr. Rose. That is pittance because I will tell you, I actually spend that money on people. I actually spend that money on people to help people.
I have a call from one of our listeners, a message, but again, I'll warn our listeners that we cannot, make sure that all your questions are being answered because it's too many already. They've said that someone is quoting you as saying, the truth is this, Dr. Meyer, this government has made major strides in developing the country. Construction work, the infrastructure is being developed, roads are being built, bridges and everything all across the country. There's no question about that. They're doing a great job in getting the country infrastructure modernized and everything else. But you said, this person is saying that you said the government is worse off now than the 23 years when they're in office. This person wants to know what you meant by that.
Well, Dr. Rose, I will tell about the corruption. I talk about the corruption because the corruption was too obvious. And one of the things, it started with the 10 days work. It started with the 10 days work. Because I see the people, and people calling me, Dr. Rose, where they sit on a bus shed, where they go to the community centers and I sit down. They are not working, and they are being paid. Then, allegedly, some people who are not working, they still get paid. I don't know what is going on. What is going on with contractors? Now, how can somebody run a cake shop and get contract to build a street? You have to look, I agree with you that a lot of infrastructure work has done. I agree with you, there is no question, but you have to go and look at some of the work that was done. You can't walk down and go into your yard. You got to run down and go to your yard. You can't drive your vehicle because you touch underneath. Then scrape the street out. Look, I did once aside of me here. I think Mr. Nat from East Coast was the contract. That is the perfect work that they did. Was well supervised by an engineer. He was there on the site, both sides. The street was well done. I can't complain. But you go further down, and some street, they take a hole and then just scrape it and then fill it. And the street finish. What is the concrete street? It's a concrete street, but you can't use it to come in the yard. Then the water from the street will run into the people's yard. Because what happened? It is so high. So what is going on here? And again, I talk about the black bush, the trenches, the drains, the 10 days workup. It's a lot of skullduggery that happened. And I did mention that. Because I have never seen so much things done. That is unbelievable. If it's done to the standard, because in my view, who has to pay the money back, Dr. Rose, is the taxpayers, is the people. And if you're going to build a street, and I told the president this, and I believe, if I'm not sure, you were there, that budget is not given to build roads and streets every year. When you build a street, you got to be, the foundation, it must be solid. It must be there for at least 10 years. But it can't last for 10 years, because I will tell you why, Dr. Rose. Right now, they build the Kettering Dam at Women. I got to go far. They build it for school children and light vehicle. Right now, there is a 8-wheel vehicle travel and mixing cement and sand and going cast. They mix it till by the waterside and travel, and then broke everything down. They broke everything down. All the contractors, they utilize and they break back the same street that they built. They park the vehicle, they carry the 4-wheel vehicle with sand and bricks and stone, whatever you want to say, and then damage it back. And the same people come back and get back a contract to build back the same street. What is going on?
So, Dr. Mayo, your primary reason for resigning Was it because of corruption, among other issues, or there are other issues too?
Well, the vice president, he doesn't like what I am saying on my Facebook. That's number one. Number two, I will not stop talking about help for the people, the poor people. They're the ones who are feeling it. Just a human being, and I know what pain is all about. I know what suffering is all about. I came from that class of family where my grandmother and my mother selfish to send me through school, and I know what suffering is all about. However, Dr. Rose, the country has money, and I see that money can be used. Now, let me get just an example. Only now I was made to understand that the public hospital are paid to send you to do a scan test at a private hospital. And I want to know why a public hospital cannot be facilitated in that respect to modernize it to compare with a private hospital. Why we can't get the same machinery in the public hospital? Why people will have to go and pay outside? Then another question that I have. Doctors are working at the public hospital. Government pay them a salary. But they're working at the private hospital as well as surgeons. So if they have a surgery to do, and again, I don't know, I want to involve you, but you have to go to a private hospital to get the surgery done. Why? If government is paying the doctor to work, why you have to go and do it in a private hospital? These are things that concern me, Dr. Rose. And I'm not going to fit in that puzzle, what they want me to do. I can't lie. I can't lie, Dr. Rose. That is not my principle of bringing up. The truth is the truth, and you can't change that.
Let me play the devil's advocate here. How do we know someone is corrupt?
The things that they are doing, Dr. Rose.
Like what?
I don't want to in exchange for that. There's too much of favoritism, Dr. Rose. Too much of favoritism in dealings with contracts and everything else. That is corruption.
Okay.
The tender board is working. First of all, we have to ask how many people attend the job. Some people never had nothing, Dr. Rose. And in 2 years, go back and check how many vehicles they got inside them house. How many new buildings they put up. The lifestyle that they have. You can know from that, Dr. Rose. You can know what is going on. People work with the government and they have contracts.
Now,
They're working with the government and they have contracts.
I know you had your full-time job during the day, and in the evenings you go to wakes and funerals. When your resignation takes effect, would you still be going to wakes and funerals?
I'm still doing that, Dr. Rose. I'm still helping people here, Dr. Rose, in the day. I still advise them how to get things done. I'm not going to stop what the good books is to do.
So you prefer to do it free?
Yeah, at my own pace.
Okay.
Than to be accused that this is what came down to the message that I only work in the afternoon to go to people wake houses. So who has to care that? Not the region? Huh? But the people who are listening to this program and who just come to my house, they can tell you if it's only that I'm doing. But I'm going there for a purpose, Dr. Rose, if I can help those people. Not everybody got families overseas. And I will tell you that's why I actually beg for those people not to be deported from United States. Because the remittances that they make to Guyana to help their family in a time of needs, they always do that, even if it's $100. But if they are here, they will not be able to afford to give anybody a $20,000. And that is how I see life, and that is why I am here. But it's not the money in question, Dr. Rose. And then they have the audacity to say, if my contractor says, well, then give me a raise, what kind of raise they give me? Huh? People that got no qualification, none, and they're making more money than me. And they're getting side piece too besides. So
Now,
it's
I
not
want
the
to
money,
touch on the
it's not the
cost of
money,
living.
Dr. Rose.
What's the cost of living like up the quarantine, Region 6?
The cost of living is high, Dr. Rose. Is high. For the last years, the cost of living gone over 20%. Now, rice price gone up now from $7,500 to $9,000 for a half a bag of rice. And it might make it worse if it depends. I tell them to get a bumper crop, this crop coming, but the rain destroy half of it. You know, so all these are problems. Cost of living is not is down. Everything went up. And again, it depends on the season. It depends on the season.
Now, as you know, Berbice is being considered the suicidal capital of the world. Suicide is happening there constantly every time. What do you think should be done to stem the suicides in Berbice? Normally, you can't know when someone is going to kill themselves. That's true. But you think
Now,
there could ever be any preventive measures to stop this?
number one, Dr. Rose, I think we got to start in the schools. The minister has to initiate a plan that you do not have to get a curriculum in the school. I think one time they came and they went to Classic Hotel and they had some people, not with any college degree or whatever, but what can we do to prevent suicide in Berbice? And the people who supposed to be invited, they were excluded. And that is what I'm telling you what is going on. Now, the schools have to take some responsibility here. But it starts in the home, where the parents, they have a pivotal role to play with the children. Then I want to ask us or tell the world, if the churches, the Hindu church, mandirs or the Catholic church or whatever, the mass, if the leaders of religious leaders do not take a leading role to help their community, that is the problem. And the question here, about 80% of Hindus are committing suicide. So you can see the absentee of the religious leaders.
You there, Dr. Amaya? Dr. Amaya?
Dr. Rhodes?
You gone off again. What happened?
You on, Dr. Rhodes?
No, you're not on. See your mute button at the bottom. Maybe you touched it by mistake.
No, I mean, I touched nothing, Dr. Rose.
Your mute button, see it at the bottom, see what happens. So why you went off?
It's just like that. I don't know. How much time more we have, Dr. Rose?
We got another 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kevin is there?
Yeah, let me see. Just a minute here.
Hello?
Yes, are you there now? Continue.
Yes, okay. You hear me? Yes, Dr. Rose.
Yeah,
Now,
go ahead.
I was talking about the suicide. So teachers, we need some more training with our schools. We need some counselors in each school to recognize when children are depressed. Some children, Dr. Rose, today children are being molested. They're badly treated in the homes. And sometimes our teachers don't recognize that. Now, peer group pressure is one. Recreational facilities is a very important thing, Dr. Rose, to prevent suicide. Is recreational facilities. Now, I can tell you something. I don't know if there's a library in Berbice. In the local areas, if there's a library, children don't read anymore. And there's a lack of communication in homes with parents. And one of the problems also that triggers suicide, when you have single parents with 4 or 5 children, that is a big thing here in Berbice and throughout the country. We're single parents. And no courts is being involved here to force the father to pay supportment to sustain these children. So there's a lot of problems here. It's not a simple solution. But again, we have to get phone lines, Dr. Rose. We have to get complaint lines. We have to set up centers that the children, there are not any children 6 years, 7 years old being raped and committing suicide and so forth. Where is the suicide center, Dr. Rose? Which number? You mentioned just now that certain areas, ministry, you can't get through with a phone call. There is a hotline. Where is the hotline that then children can be call and say, well, look, I have this problem. I don't know how to solve this problem. These are things that we need to get done. The people's life is at stake here, Dr. Rose. And we have to get for things in place, how to save lives. How to save lives. If drinking and driving, I'm just wondering if those 3 young lads that died yesterday, if they had helmets, if we had enough police on the road, if that could be prevented. I don't know. I have to find out if they had helmets. All these things, unless there's an implementation of the law, and I mentioned this before, people should not walk into a store at Rosal or Overton or New Amsterdam and buy poison without a proper identification. I know that people in Blackbush is not the historic aspect now of suicide, because people plant rice and get poisoned, but it's not anymore. It's outside of Blackbush now that a lot of people are committing suicide. So we have to look at the situation and monitor them. But we need a center. We need a 24 hours hotline that people can call, and we have to get more programs, national programs, to to educate our population about suicide. We have to develop more programs, and it is not done. Now, this is an ongoing situation, but we are not getting any kind of input to get it done. So all this is my frustration as well. And I am so happy that they mentioned some about awake houses. I am going there to find out what is happening, and I can address those problems, Dr. Rose. I know how to address them. I can't stop it from happening. But you know who I feel sorry for, like the 3 kids? I feel sorry for the parents. I feel sorry for the siblings. They left them with a lot of pains. People who committed suicide. And they're poor people, they're not extremely rich. The strain that they have to go through. But anybody ever try to find the intricate aspect of why these people commit? Anybody ever go to their house and sit and make notes and see how you can compute some solutions to the problem of suicide? No, nobody get time for that. Nobody get time for that.
Okay, let me switch to another topic. You resigned from the PEP. Are you going to join another party?
That is optional, Dr. Rose. I think, you know, that when a horse run out the race, you put them in a pasture. Well, I
Right.
don't know if my race is, I don't know if my race is over, but I don't think I have any intention. But all that I want to see, wherever I see some sort of manifesto that people can go out there and do things for the Guyanese people, and they need my critical support, I will give them. But
What do you think of
basically,
what do you think of third parties in this upcoming
a
election?
third party, I always believe in a third force in Guyana. You know why? The polarization in Guyana politics with blacks and Indians, this two-party state is destroying good governance. I will say good governance. Two-party state. And when one party gets 33 seats in parliament, then no matter how much they fight over the budget, they're going to still pass the budget. They have the majority. But if you have a deciding force, and I still count on 2011 when the AFC has a very important role to play. And I still believe, as one person who did not vote for the coalition, that today all the realization has come that if we had stayed independently, the AFC could be a deciding force to any budget or to the development of this country, especially with oil money and all these things. If there is room for negotiation, and that was said during the campaign, why there is no room today after 4.5 years? I don't know. But this is a problem. So when you have a third force, it makes a big difference in the parliament. And I still believe in a two-party state, a third force is necessary. Is necessary.
Okay. So a third force, well, there are many third force people trying to form a party or something, I don't know. But let's wait and see what will happen. Now,
Let me tell you something, Dr. Rose, on the same point. I look at leadership and I saw something that is missing. Any political party or any government, they are the employees of the people of that country. The people is the employer. And the people entrusted the government with the X on the side of the symbol. But when they assume office, Dr. Rose, the people become like beggars. And I always mention, a beggar vote and even the president vote has the same value. And that is what eating me outside and inside. People. The people put you there, but then the people do not have a voice. And that is how these two parties operating right now. And the opposition, if the opposition does not win the next election and all, I will say this openly. They still have the leader for the opposition right now. He's still going to be the leader. He's still going to get all the perks. He's still going to get security and whatever. So you think they care about the people? The leadership has to think about the nation and put the nation before themselves. But I don't see it happening in this country or even any other part of the world. And that is what true democracy is all about. When a man can sacrifice his life, his time for the effort of his people, because if the people put you there, you owe them something. And what you owe them? Good life. And that is why I said about the medical aspect. People's life is at stake, Dr. Rose. They cannot afford, and I talked to you a couple of days about somebody overseas, how this person is struggling. How this person is struggling. Life itself is meaningful, Dr. Rose, when you get good health. And when we can provide that help, not roads. And that is why I am saying things supposed to be done with the resources that we have. It is not done effectively and the way it is needed in our country. And that is why a third force is so pivotal in this coming election. That will bring the balance of power.
So you are in favor of a third party because the two parties have been in power for the longest while and there have not been much changes in the political system.
No, well, that is the problem. If, for example, I can remember the Amelia Fall when Cameron said, no, we did not vote it for it. It was a good cause. But again, Dr. Rose, I will tell you, I've been on one of your programs. And when you have situation like this here, Dr. Rose, when a party wins an election, you know what is happening? There's complete transformation from professionalism to party line of operation. All the people who are highly educated, all because they are not PVP or PNC, they change them. So how you gonna get a society based upon intellectual development? How you gonna get production? How you gonna get transparency? You can't look the Skellen Estate. When I was part of the member of the board, we used to get like 19, 20 megawatt current. Today, who they put inside here, they got 4 megawatt current. It's the people who are running it, they just dismantle them. And you put people with no competency, how you going to get production? How you going to get transparency? These are the things that I see as corruption. There are people who got position who are not qualified. And as a result of that, a country cannot develop because based on race, we cannot, if we don't ignore that word race, which is a man-created word, then non-society can function. I may dead and gone, but I will still see Guyana will struggle with this polarized system that we have right now. And the world is going that way too. We saw that in the last election in the United States.
I know. Dr. Omar, we're coming to the end of the program. It was so fast. Your closing remarks.
Dr. Rose, I want to thank you. I don't have to thank you that much because we meet us steady. But as a close individual to me and to know her, a good friend, I'm glad for this opportunity that I put some light on what my resignation was about, the way I was treated. And I want to thank the president. And I will tell you why I want to say that, Dr. Rose. When I was living in Georgetown, he extended himself to me in a very courteous way. But I don't know if he knew that I had a house of my own in Georgetown, Middle Street. But he said, Ram, after Parliament, you're driving to go back to Borbis. I say, yeah. He said, look, I have the keys to this house. You can go and stay in the house. I will never, Dr. Rose, I am not an ungrateful person, as I am deemed by the PVP party. I am not Nimakaram. So I will not say anything bad about the president or even the vice president. But I know for a fact they will not like me for what I have done since I came back in this country because I oppose the wrong thing. And my resignation has nothing to do with money because the money is penance to what I deserve. I don't deserve that kind of salary. I give people away. I share it in different ways and I give people. But I am still thankful and I want to set the record straight. I never begged for a job. And because I was asked to come back, I lost a lot of money from my house in New York. I have no regrets because Guyana is my home place. I have no regrets. And as a result, Dr. Rose, I am thankful for what I am and who I am. And I am thankful to be here alive, that I can still make a contribution to help people here without any government money. And I want to thank you again to bring me on this program. And it is very unfortunate that we lost the video program tonight. We have to just voice it.
But you're
So
heard
I
loud,
want to
you're
thank you.
heard loud and clear, so it doesn't matter. People heard your voice loud and clear. So, Dr. Maya, thank you again for being our guest tonight. We want to thank all our listeners for tuning in tonight and our sponsors. A special thanks to our sponsors. I didn't make the announcement tonight about sponsor, but let me do it right now. All from OneSupplier.com. All from OneSupplier.com. One is a number, not uh, alphabet. You can get all your West Indian groceries from there. Your rotis, your curries, your fish, your meat, everything. You can use your EBT card, your credit card, your debit card, no matter what. All these cards are being accepted. And you have home delivery. Your food is delivered or your groceries delivered direct to your home. All from OneSupplier.com. Just go on the website and you can place your order there. Or the number to call is 718 551 3292. And then Globespan. Globespan has been in business now for 31 years. And it's one of the travel agencies that can book you to go any part of the world. Just give them a call and your problems will be over. They will take you there in a jiffy. They have upcoming tours to Dubai, India, South Africa, and Norway. Globespan is the agent to consult or to contact when you want to travel. They have offices in New York and in Guyana, Rosalton and Val Park, and in Trinidad, Chagunas. So the number to call is 718-845-0437. 718-845-0437. Thank you all for listening, and thanks again to Noir Singh for making this program available, Devin Bissoon and Ryan Gobin, our technical directors, and to all our listeners and to all our sponsors. Have a pleasant evening. Tune in next Monday night. We'll have the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Manzur Nazir. He'll be here with us to discuss all the things about the National Assembly we want to hear about. Thank you very much, and good night, everyone. Good night, Dr. Maya.
Good night, Dr.